Hi everybody, and welcome back to Sketch to See. We haven't done an interview in quite some time. You know, this whole pandemic thing has made things a little bit difficult to do face-to-face interactions. But I'm going to shake it up a little bit this week and interview my wife. After receiving quite a few viewer comments on some of our social media platforms asking if she was ever going to, one, be an anchor, or two, what she actually thought of this process in general, I thought it would be a good thing to do. So stay tuned, check it out. Okay, so let's get started here. Jamie, do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and us, maybe?
All right, so I'm Jamie. I'm Sean's wife. We met in 2009, I think, 2009, and we've been married now for 11 years. And we live in the Cayman Islands together, and yeah, we're building a boat. That's me. So I'm Canadian. Sean and I met in Ontario right as I was finishing my university degree. We lived in Australia, in Sydney, briefly together, and we actually got engaged in Sydney, and then we moved back to Canada, and we lived there until we moved to Cayman in 2014.
Well, that's a little bit about you. Let's talk about the giant elephant in the room.
Boat.
So I'm going to start off with a pretty big, obvious question. What do you think about this project?
Well, I think it's a really, really exciting project. Big and different, and it's even a different project than we started with when we decided we were going to build a boat. The iteration.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the iterations have gone from your dream monohull to a small cat to the fact that we were going to buy a used cat and just pick up and go. And then when we decided that wouldn't really suit our needs, we were going to build a smaller version of this boat, and now we're up to the 88-foot boat. So I think it's been quite a process, but it's exciting.
So with regards to the project in general, how involved are you with the project, with Sketch to See? What do you like to do most here?
It's a mix for me. So I'm pretty involved. Sometimes it might not seem like I'm involved because I'm not in front of the camera, but I've always got my hand in this. So when it comes to the actual Sketch to See episodes, Sean writes them, well, you write them, and then I end up doing editing. I add a little bit of content, I change things around, I cut stuff out, and then when we film, I'm behind the camera driving you a little bit crazy, but...
What she says is she makes these episodes actually make sense.
So yeah, I try and help Sean get his point across the best way possible. I'm behind the camera helping you film, obviously, and just kind of making sure that things flow the best way that I think they can. In terms of the project, it's a bit different. I love sailing. I'm really interested in the boat, and this is our future home. So I'm really excited to be a part of it, but it's not my passion, I guess, to be doing naval research all the time. So I obviously, to decide on a catamaran and to decide on this type of project and what it's going to look like, it was a big discussion between Sean and I would say that we're equal partners in that. When we went to the Naval Architect in California, I was there for that. They had to do some pretty interesting stuff. It was good that I was there.
Yeah, I just want to bring up something. Morelli & Melvin Naval Architects is designing this yacht for HH Catamarans, which is our manufacturer. But when we were in California, we were sitting in the Morelli & Melvin office, and they actually have marks both on their ceiling, on their counters, all set out in millimeters just so you can walk around their office and kind of get your feeling for different height requirements within the yacht. We had to make quite a few exceptions over here.
So talking about being at Morelli & Melvin, all the men in that room were over 6 feet tall. I am 5'2". So no fault of their own, these men, Sean included, were designing a boat that would fit a 6-foot man. And the sightlines were for 6 foot tall people. The it was all, what would you be able to see if you were 6 feet tall? So it was really good that I was there and we could take physical measurements and talk about a middle ground of finding a boat that works for someone who is 6 feet tall, but someone who's much closer to 5 feet, so that I don't get motion sick, so that I could use the helm station easily, so that I can be moving around the boat and being a part of it with ease and feeling good while I do it.
See up over the toe kick on the outside.
So just getting back to your question, I was a big part of that, the initial design, figuring out the size and that, and then I've kind of stepped back as all of the systems have gone into place. I'm not going to spend my time researching hydraulic systems or fire suppression or refrigerators or ice makers the way that Sean does. That's not really, I'd say, a passion for me. And so it's really...
I assure you, researching ice makers is a passion for no one.
Yeah. Well, Sean's very good at it. So now that we're moving into the interior design phase, I'm really excited to be a part of it. You and I have been going back and forth a lot about fabric samples, wood finishes, spatial arrangements of all the rooms, and I think that's really great to be a part of. And yeah, I think seeing the boat take shape is really nice. And so we have weekly calls with the HH Yard, and I may not always be on the call, but I'm always on the call. I'm in the background, I'm listening, I'm learning things all the time, and I may not be a really vocal part until it's I may not be a really vocal part of the conversation until it's a decision-making time, but I'm always there.
So you and I have quite a history with this type of project in general. And we've done a couple of other large projects together. This one is not physically the largest, but it's probably one of the most encompassing, let's put it that way. Did you ever see yourself getting involved in something like this 10 years ago?
I think when I met you, I knew life was not going to be quiet. I think it was going to be interesting, and that you are a project guy and that you are always thinking about what's new and different and what can be done even better. So we renovated our house in Canada, which was our first one. We then decided to move down here to Cayman, and
that was a whole project in itself.
We then decided to move to Cayman and not only live here, but buy land and build a house. And that was the biggest project that we'd done to date. And that was quite complicated. And I felt like I learned a lot. But then when we started building this boat, I felt like I knew nothing all over again. So I think I always thought we'd do exciting things together. I just didn't understand the scale and the detail that would go into the projects that we worked on.
Fair enough. Honestly, I didn't really anticipate that this would be happening at this point in my life either. I definitely thought this was a retirement type plan, but here we are in front of all of you building something that resembles this. So 10 years ago, when I originally said that I was going to live on a boat one day, what did you actually think in that moment? Or shortly after, or when you had time to reconsider?
When I had time to reconsider. No, I think that's funny. So, yeah, 10 years ago, Sean and I got...
It's almost 12 years ago now.
Yeah, wow, okay. Okay, so I'm going to correct Sean's timeline a little bit. It's not 10 years ago, it's 12 years ago, which seems absolutely crazy that much time has gone by. But we had just started dating. I think we were about a month into our relationship, and Sean said to me that if this was going to go any further and we wanted to get serious, one day he was going to live on a boat. How did I feel about this? And I think the relationship was just still so new for me that seemed so far down the road to me that I think I just thought, why not? Our relationship was new, it was exciting, I love traveling, I love sailing. So living on a boat sounded great. At that point in time, though, I did think it probably meant for a week at a time, maybe on vacation, living on a boat for a little bit and not taking our whole life and putting it on a boat. But let alone
an island in the middle of the Caribbean first.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy that I got on board.
So we've been doing this now for 3 years. We've been involved in this project.
Yeah.
out of the many different iterations that we've seen between the GAs, the different renderings, what are you most looking forward to on this yacht?
Do you mean in terms of features of the yacht or the life on board the yacht?
Let's do both. What key feature, what element of this yacht excites you the most?
I think when we were designing the yacht, we really fought to have that master up, and I'm really excited about that. I know that maybe when we're underway, that might not be the room that we utilize the most. We may be back in the aft of the boat just to cut out some of the motion, but I think it's really exciting to think about being here in the front of the boat and waking up to that 180-degree view of just being out on the water. I think that it's a great functional decision, but to me, it's a really comfortable, cozy decision, and I like that.
I really like that feature as well. Unfortunately, I had to give up my tiller steering because you can't exactly see through the structural mast bulkhead that separates our bedroom from the main salon. So yeah, a little bit of a sacrifice there, but I think all in all, you're right, it will be worth it in the end. So with regards to some of the other features, what are you most excited to be using on this boat? I know what I'm excited for.
What are you excited for?
Mainly it's the ability to go anywhere when we want to, weather providing, obviously. But to do the things that we really enjoy doing together, like scuba diving, traveling, obviously, but exploring different remote places with our own support structure behind us without having to depend on certain other entities that would be involved.
I think in terms of living on the boat, I'm excited just to kind of be able to pick up and explore whenever we want. This is now our home, so we've got all of our things that make us feel safe and comfortable, and I mean that's a luxury in and of itself. We're so lucky to be able to have that. But then to be able to go and take the tender or the jet ski and go off and explore little areas that are so remote you might not be able to get there otherwise. To be able to scuba dive off the back of the boat, we love that, and we've got our own systems to support it. I think it's just opening up a whole new world of possibilities for us, and that's really exciting.
That's a good answer, but it definitely leads me into my next question. What item have we been the most contentious about having on board?
So I have put up a bit of a fight about the hot tub on board.
Why would anybody ever put up a fight about having a hot tub on board?
So I have put up a bit of a fight about the hot tub on board. And I think at first it was because there were structural things that had to be moved around. It seemed really difficult to work through with the naval architect and the engineers. I kind of am a people pleaser in that way, that as soon as it gets difficult, I don't want it to make trouble for anyone. So I felt like it was difficult and we didn't need it. And then I was thinking about the maintenance of it as well. And it could be really difficult to keep it clean, keep it full. How do these systems work? Are they easy? Is it practical? But then December hit in the Caribbean, which sounds like a really crazy thing because everyone from the Northern Hemisphere is still coming on vacation here. But December in the Caribbean and the temperatures drop in the water, and one of our favorite things after a proper surface interval is to come up and hop in the hot tub and just warm up after a day out in the ocean. So I do see that it's going to be a really great feature.
And keep in mind when she says those December breezes down here in the Caribbean, that like we're pushing high 70s here, and that's water temperature at 100 feet.
The Canadian is slowly seeping out of me. I'm just getting acclimatized to the Caribbean weather.
I really hope that you enjoyed that episode. We're actually going to stop this one here for now because we got way more content than we actually expected. You never know how things are going to go when you're interviewing the spouse. But I'm happy to report things actually went surprisingly well. That being said, thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that. If you're not already following us on our other social media channels, Instagram and Facebook, please go ahead and do that. And if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and share. We've got lots more coming for you. Hope to see you again soon. Thanks.